broadcast of the CLOL Top 16 matchup between St. Clair College and Ottawa University, where these two teams will be facing off to pass one final test and make it to the top 8 double elimination bracket. My name's Gordo. I'm joined on the cast today by TDS. TDS, good Saturday morning. How are you doing? Or Sunday morning, rather.
Yeah, so yeah, it's much more a Sunday morning, but it's great. We have some great matchups. We have BO5s with it, which is what people really want to see. None of that just 1 or 3 games. We want to go the full distance with those 5 games, and we have a great matchup potentially for that. So it should be an exciting Sunday, and I'm ready to see whatever these teams bring forward.
Yeah, so let's start things off by taking a look at the full bracket for CLOL 2024 so far. Looks pretty complicated. Promise it isn't. Gets to double elimination in the top 8, and we have already had some of our round of 16 matchups play out just yesterday, starting to shape what this bracket is going to look like coming into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, with some of the favorites pretty much just showing up and winning their series decisively. Unlucky for some of the teams. UCI particularly had a lot of excitement coming behind them, but certainly going against MU is not easy task. And then for today's matchups, there's teams that could potentially upset, and I think there's a lot to look forward to if you're able to play it out accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely here. And with that, let's take a look at today's schedule as we look to see how these teams are going to be facing on off. So over on Salty Runback Pod, we've got Western University taking on Northwood. That was back on Saturday. Everything from Saturday over on the left. And then if you look at today, we've got streams on Salty Runback, Running the Rift, and Winthrop Esports for their home team. We're going to be kicking things off right here with the Saints taking on Ottawa.
Exactly. A lot of exciting matchups, but we will focus today at the start with the St. Clair against Ottawa, with two teams that have expectations to a certain degree, but certainly one looking a little bit higher than the other. I'm pretty sure kind of making honor to their mascot from the logo.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be moving on to SLU versus UCSD later in the day. St. Thomas
Yep.
versus Purdue Northwest going to be starting off here at the exact same time. So get your multi twitches ready if you want to keep your eyes on both matches at once. They're on over at Salty Runback Pod. Hopefully, they're plugging us just the same over there right now. Speaking of plugs, let's thank everybody who's helped to make this event possible. Bring it on over our GoFundMe page here. We have raised so very much money to be able to actually put on this show. Huge shout out to everybody who donated. Those names coming on by on the top. Huge shout out to Jen G and Ole Miss as well for being named sponsors of the event.
Exactly. Helping shape this event up, doing everything possible to help us out here, and trying to help out as well the any talents that wanted to have a reach to show themselves. And I'm really glad that we're getting this. So thanks to everyone that donated, and thanks to everyone that in the future can donate as well, because this will always be helpful in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. You can still check on out that link and contribute to the broadcast. Still going to be keeping this going all the way through up until the finals. The finals will have their own broadcast, but prior to that, it's going to be all reliant on donations, going to all be reliant on keeping things going to make sure that these broadcasts can be put on and be as good as possible. Let's get into today's matchup, TDS. We've been referencing it a lot, but time to really start the breakdown. St. Clair Saints taking on the Ottawa University Braves.
Exactly. A matchup that maybe some were not expecting at all, with Ottawa coming up this clutch and appearing here against St. Clair. Now, two teams that maybe don't have the biggest backing, I would say, or not backing, but the biggest like accomplishment backpack to follow them up. Like, they are teams that have done great things, but it's not comparable to the top teams. They are looking to put themselves as close as possible to those top teams, top programs in the CLOL environment, and I think that they are doing a really good job at achieving that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I really appreciate that you bring that up for St. Clair in particular. Could check on out what they've done to be able to get here. They
Yeah.
are moving on to try to get themselves a higher seed, to try to get themselves into that conversation of being one of the top teams and actually make jumps to be able to be considered competitive. Whereas Ottawa, they've been fighting in the Midwestern Esports Conference for a long time, trying to get their shot here, making top 16 for the second year in a row, and looking to bring things home to get us into top 8 for an MEC team would be a massive accomplishment. They've got 3 shots at it here today. You can make an argument that Ottawa's got the best of them.
It's kind of funny that we say they have three shots, but it's three different teams for the MEC to actually reach that. But it's true. Ottawa has a nice attempt here, and I think that the more you look at it, the more complicated this matchup can become because there's a strengths and weaknesses to both sides that can go against each other pretty well and can make a series that initially may look one-sided because it's a higher seed from a more difficult conference, quote unquote, against a lower seed from a lower conference, quote unquote, and that should be pretty straightforward on who you think will win. But then you look into the matchup, and then everything kind of becomes a little bit more blurry.
Absolutely. So let's get into St. Clair first here and check out some
Yeah.
of their journey to get here. They have made a big swap, jumping on over to the East Conference. They're a big fish in a small pond back when they were in the NJCAA. Now they're a big fish in a bigger pond as they move on over to the East Conference, playing up against some of the other tough teams that they couldn't really get access to back when they were in the NJCAA, looking for a better seed here as well. And they certainly have earned the respect that they've got coming in here as they were completely dominant, even moving over to the East Conference. They dropped just one game all season long over there, TDS.
Yeah, doing a pretty good job at, like you're pointing out, becoming that bigger fish in a bigger pond. And it's important to see this sort of things happening when you're trying to improve as much as possible. It's not only on your own team that you have to look, but also on the competition that you're getting. And there's the maybe the bigger thing that teams have to look more into with how the NA system works. Obviously, I'm not super versed in it since I'm not from NA myself, but trying to understand the gist of it, you know that the stronger the conference, the better your chances of not only becoming a stronger team but facing stronger competition consistently. And I like that St. Clair decided to take that giant step because that may hit you back a little bit in terms of your accomplishments sometimes, but in the long run that's how you become a stronger team because your team is going to keep on fighting against stronger teams, and that's just going to make you stronger in the long run.
Definitely will. So let's check out the St. Clair starting lineup, see what roster they've used to get here. So coming in, it's the classic St. Clair lineup of Ricky LaFleur, Maddie, and Rock Boom that everybody will know from last year. Bakery Boy coming back into mid lane with Akashi departing in this last offseason and replacing Boschetti, at least as of recent. Boschetti still on the roster, on the bench, but with rookie support Miracle joining on up here to round things out. This is a squad that maybe a little unassuming at first glance, but has been a positively dominant in the Eastern Conference.
Exactly. They have done really, really well. Like you were mentioning already, they were quite dominant in the run towards here and they were consistent in what they wanted to achieve. The changes, I think, made sense for what they needed because St. Clair, even before when they had Akashi, even though they had a really strong mid lane in the form of Akashi, they were quite bot lane centric. They like to play for Rock Boom, they like to allow for their carry to be quite strong. So trying to accommodate towards that idea was a really smart way to accomplish it for St. Clair. And I like the way that they did things because at the end of the day, it's also important to see what pieces you can put in so that you don't destroy the identity that you were building all along. And I think that that was a really smart process by St. Clair, and it's bearing its fruits already thanks to the changes that they made and what they've been able to accomplish.
Absolutely, guys. And now let's take a look on over towards Ottawa. We can see how they've been doing over the last couple of years, what their journey has looked like. They have been constantly runners up or taking a loss to the top team in the Midwest Esports Conference. But when it comes to CLOL, they've been showing up just as well and really being able to give it towards some of the other strong teams coming into the conference, consistently making it past the round of 32. This is now 2 years in a row. We're going to find out if this is going to be the year that they can take that one step further.
Yeah, the unlucky part is where they end up going, right? Because looking at the MEC, they eventually lose to the winners. Most of the more times than less, they end up losing in the final, so it's nothing to be ashamed of. And then when they reach Silo, because of certain how to put it, seating decisions as well as ways that the tournament was organized, they had the unluckiness of facing either a really strong team early on or not even able to qualify. This time around, I think it's one of the first times where we finally see them. Yes, they had to face a strong team, but they kind of bested them in the best way possible. And now reaching top 16, even though they are the underdog, they are making an argument that this time around they are deserved competitors at this point, and they can make the run if they really show up here against St. Clair.
Yeah, bringing in the Ottawa starting lineup here to check out who they've been using to be able to make it this far. It's still been Killian in the top lane, Prod in the jungle, the newcomer Blonde going to be the starter for the day. He's been switching off long a time with mid laner Riversided. Levi still in the bot lane as the longest standing member, and newcomer Plux joining them down to the support role.
Yeah, player that a lot of people may be familiar with if you've watched the NACL or NACL OQ, you know where that bot laner has been playing and how he has been playing. But the rest of the team, it's a combination of players that I don't think a lot of people had in their radar, but the way that they play is really cohesive and really nice to see. Particularly, once again, looking at the pieces, the way that they work is pretty similar to St. Clair. It's not a carbon copy, but it is pretty similar to how they play, and it can bring up a lot of potential fights just looking towards the bot side because of how similar they play in certain situations. The players that I would like to highlight though quickly go towards Levi, like you mentioned, long-standing player, has been in this as Ottawa Braves system for quite a few I wouldn't say long time, but quite a
Since
while.
2022.
And yeah, so has been there for the ups and the downs. And it's nice to see that a program like this has had a player harnessed in their program and able to bring him up to this point. And also the player delivering on the program, trying to bring that program up. It's kind of the beauty of the CLOL, right? Investing long term so that these players and these collegiate teams can bring themselves as further ahead as possible.
Absolutely. And let's get into our head to head here. The featured matchup, it's got to be Rock Boom versus Plux. You'll recognize these two from competing together
Yeah.
on Lit Esports. Longtime teammates over there in the NACL had a rough season to end up here. And now both of them leading their team to top 16 CLOL. Both teams looking to dominate the bot lane and looking to set their 80 carries ahead. One of these former teammates is going to have to go through the other if they want to make it to top 8. We're going to find out which one of these lit players are going to reign supreme at the end of the day.
Yeah, and the typical head-to-head usually happens with players of the same position, right? But this time around, it was difficult not to go for the current teammates, or at the very least, the current teammates as of now with what happened with Lee. But these two players can make magic happen if you give the resources to them. Obviously, a little bit more easy to carry as the AD carry, but Plux is a support that it doesn't shy away from trying to make things happen for their team. And I feel like that can be a big strength for Ottawa moving forward, especially if he's given the chances to go forward.
Absolutely. Now let's get into our predictions for game number 1. Got some word from everybody that we could on who we expect to have winning. So we'll bring these up here in just a second. And you can see it's a 3-1 for myself, TDS, and Chippy. Caddy, he's going in the complete opposite direction, though. He's coming in with a prediction for Ottawa. So I wish we had Caddy here to hold accountable for this one. This is a crazy upset prediction, and he's expecting a full slam as well.
Yeah, actually, they were saying that mine was going to be wrong, but yeah, 3-1. I want to believe more in Ottawa because technically speaking, I'm an MEC boy. Like, I was on their broadcast for a little bit this split, so I kind of have more on them than anything else. But the reality is that I think that Sinclair have a lot of stuff that it's really positive to be looking forward, and they are making an amazing job both as a program and as a team to try and get further ahead. I think that Ottawa still needs a little bit more time to be able to accomplish this, so I'm going more towards the Saints this time around.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks are going to have the Saints as a favorite. You can see the 3-1 ratio
Yep.
down here below, and I see Caddy in the chat saying he got trolled. So this graphic says what the graphic says, man. We're not here to
Yeah,
give
Caddy,
anybody
if you're
a
wrong, you're wrong. If
re-roll
you're
when it
right, you're
turns out
right.
you disagree.
Yeah, exactly. As long as maybe Caddy can eventually actually laugh at us because who knows, Ottawa can potentially go for it. Like realistically, I wasn't even that mad if anyone put the 3-2 in either side because I do think that there's a chance that this series looks closer than the scoreboards we gave. It's just that I have more belief in the Saints, ironically.
Yeah, I think this is the most likely one. And with that, we are getting underway for draft number 1 TDS. St. Clair going to take things started on the blue side. Ottawa going to be coming in on the red. See, we got our full rosters on across here. Everybody expected to be starting, going to be starting, and we are going to immediately take the bans. That's going to be Rumble taken off the board by St. Clair to kick things off.
must ban against Killian. I'm pretty sure every series he's played so far has had a rumble ban going to him. He is one trick to a certain degree, but this doesn't mean that he cannot play other champions. It does mean that you have to pretty much have a perma ban in your side for as long as the series goes on, unless you have a really good plan against it. On the other side, though, you have the Olaf ban that I think it's a smart approach. Olaf can mess up with a lot of the champions that Ottawa does like to play, and his immunity and not a lot of potential for counter picks from Killian because of how Ottawa plays, maybe a little bit risky. So I think the ban is a smart approach here. Listen, not a bad option against Broad. And then I think we have to see a little bit more focus maybe towards the bot lane. The Barris, the Senna, Kalista as well could be something to look forward for both of these teams to ban away.
Yeah, just taking on down the time here while Ottawa looks to see what they want to take off the board. I think at least in
Yep.
ban up against Prod makes a lot of sense. Whoa! All right,
Okay.
we've made a whole bunch of progress here in just about the last second. There's going to be Aatrox, Jinx, and Yone all biting the ban list as well. And a first pick Skarner for Maddie on
Of
the Saints.
course.
I'm so excited to see Maddie on this champ. I think it fits him so well.
Well, it's gonna still go to Rick Lafleur technically. Now, I do think Matty probably is going to take him out in the jungle, but it's nice to see this corner being added to the pool. Like you mentioned, a lot of champions went quickly by. Only bot lane ban came through as the form of the Jinx, and now on the other side, Plux does love his Nautilus, and I do think Nautilus is a good champion to try and play with to force things to happen. Senna is still open, so you could technically go for the Senna Nautilus duo and try and have Levi be take a little bit more of a backseat and have Plux be more aggressive with this Nautilus, which wouldn't be necessarily a bad choice. You know my opinion about the Senna Nautilus though, so I hope that that's not the case.
Yeah, and it's been the Kaisa Nautilus that's really been the bread and butter. We're really just skipping through here today.
Yep.
We'll find out if that Kaisa Nautilus ends up coming on through for Levi because that's been so crucial for them in the bottom lane. But they're going to take that
Yep.
Sejuani earlier on, and Rockboom gonna steal the Kaisa. He claims it for himself on the blue side, makes them potentially regret locking in that Sedge so early, and it's gonna be paired up with the Rel in support. You only see Rel support these days. The Rungle is a champion and a fad of the past. We're not going to see Maddie piloting that one.
Yeah, had a similar fate to multiple other champions that were once in the jungle and then died out. Now, the Kai'Sa still here can still work with the Rel, right? You have the CC to proc the passive and the engage to try and make the level 2 bot lane happen. You can go for some aggressive bot laner as well if you're a Levi with maybe the Tristana. You have a similar idea there. With the idea of going in with the Nautilus and then play with the Tristana aggressively. Or once again, if they want to play the back foot, you can go for the Senna. Their Saya is a little bit weird here, not because it's necessarily bad, but it does mean that you're going to play the back foot and not really want to be as aggressive as possible in a couple of situations. It does make it so that you can try and play around the ultimates really well, and the CC is not going to be as downing as it could potentially be for other champions, especially considering you have the Impale on one side and then the Rel CC multi-two duo combo that she has in her kit. So it's at the very least a good opportunity to try and dissuade that from going on.
The brand ban is really interesting to me. I wonder if that's supposed to be directed towards Bakery Boy, if they're anticipating a
Could be.
potential brand mid, if they think that it could be Skarner top and Maddie going for the brand in the jungle. That's something else that you could really be on the lookout for. But that I would really love to be a fly on the wall of the comms right now, seeing that that one ends up coming on through. It's just not a pick that you would usually expect to see banned here when you already see support and very possibly jungle face up. Now, there's going to be a Jax ban as well. I think that solidifies the idea that they're at least trying to ban away potentially flexible picks, knowing that that Skarner could go in either place.
Yeah, they are not sold on the idea. And with Rick LaFleur, I wouldn't be sold either. Like, he is a player that I actually think has quite a variety of things that he can go for, and that provides for St. Clair's idea of playing out the game, which is nice to see. As Atalia comes in as the last ban, I like it against Blunt particularly because he does move around quite a bit. And I think that mid laners that can move around away from mid lane quick are going to be something to keep in mind really heavily for this series. Trying to help your bot lanes be as far ahead as possible and try and open up the game as quickly as possible as well. But here we're missing pretty much top lane and mid lane if that Skarner is not going towards the top lane. And I'm expecting to see something like the Ari maybe pop up here. There's always the Ornn, the Cyan as well to keep in mind just because there is a lot of value out of those tanks, especially for Killian, and that could be something to keep in mind as oh
Yes.
He
All
played
right.
this
I know.
before.
I was looking for the Blonde
Yep.
Rise. The Blonde Rise has been a menace thus far. It was so crucial in their 2 wins over Weaver State in their upset to be able to even make it here in the round of 32. The
Yep.
Blonde Rise was such a big
Ooh.
part of that. There's Rock Boom. I mean, it's got to be Bakery Boys
It's more
Tristana,
than
but when
likely.
you see Rock Boom and Tristana together in the same cell, it just feels right, man. This has been such a big pick for him his entire career. It's his most played in solo queue, even right now, and he's probably not going to get it. He's probably going to be on Kai'Sa duty.
Yeah, like I would love to see the Tristan in the bot lane because I do think has a good matchup against the Saya, but it makes a lot of sense against the Rise. That being said, though, if the Rise goes into the idea that we were talking about for moving around the map. Rise pushes the wave, gets out of lane really quickly, and provides support for the rest of the map really well. And I think that that sort of playstyle can enable the side of Ottawa really, really well. Now, we're missing the last pick, could potentially be a tank in the top lane. Actually, it went real
Whoa!
quick. That is Darius in the top lane instead. And plot, and it's going to be Prot playing the Xin Zhao, so it is going to be the Sejuani in the top lane. I'm actually not like I'm not completely mega versed in the top lane meta, but I kind of think that Darius destroys Sejuani. No, like isn't he good against those tanks because of the bleeding?
It feels like it would be tough. I mean, I like Sejuani Xin as a top jungle
Yeah,
duo, at least in concept. If you're able to get those glacial stacks up, if you're able to land the permafrost and lock somebody down, get the bonus damage, and set up for your Xin to be able to be the damage dealer, I think that's perfectly fine. But in the pure isolated one-on-one, it feels like it's going to be a little bit of a tough place for Sejuani. I think you can apprehend her out of Arctic Assault too, so you just got to be really responsible with your positioning if you're going to be Killian in this matchup. You're facing up against Ricky. He's a big carry guy in his own right, and Killian feels like it's either Rumble or it's going to be something maybe a little bit safer up there in the top lane whenever you're seeing him. He played a little bit of Kennen in a loss up against Weaver, but other than that, I would generally expect to see him on tanks. Playing the Sejuani this time, I mean, it's a bold move when Ricky gets last pick and Ricky going to be able to counter out and take this Darius. They could have taken something other than the Xin and avoided the matchup, but they choose to opt into it.
but this is the difficult thing for Ottawa, right? And this is something we are talking about as well when trying to bring up these teams. They are bot centric, but they are bot centric in different manners. Not because they don't try to focus on their AD carries, but because Ricky is more willing to take the counter pick up than Killian is. Killian has his rumble that he's great at, but in general, he's more of a tank rock solid top laner. And that kind of opens up for a lot of top laners to simply say, okay, if he's going to opt into a tank matchup essentially almost every time, then I can just take the counter pick. He's not typically opting into that counter pick, and even when he did with the Kennen, it wasn't the best showing. So it kind of takes away a little bit of the surprise in that sense, and that makes drafting, especially from blue and red, much easier for the top laner because you can kind of guess if he's taking the tank and then opt into one matchup that you feel is going to be much better. So that makes a difference in how both of these teams are going to be facing each other. And I want to see how they go. Like I want to see Blonde moving around the map completely. I hope he ignores the mid lane because I don't think he wins the 1v1 against Bakery Boy on that Tristana. But if he can help the bot lane and push forward, it's going to be great for them.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, it sounds like we're ready to get onto the Rift. Game number 1 between St. Clair College and Ottawa University kicking off right now. A best of 5 that will send one team to the top 8 double elim bracket and one team home for the rest of the CLOL season. Won't see them again till 2025.
Ooh.
And
It's a
multiple members towards the
3v4.
top lane here.
Okay, if they fought, it would have been a 3v5 actually. So no, it's a 4v5.
Yeah, just pushing for some more here, going to force as many members out of here as they possibly can. See some players going with alternative names in game here, but that is Prod in the jungle and Killian in top lane for Ottawa, for anyone who's not familiar. And this is where I got to bring up that 8-letter word that I know you don't want to hear me say, TDS. It's lane swaps. Are we going to end up seeing Killian try to opt out of this matchup and just a couple of 2v1s across the board?
So I think a lane swap would have been more logical. Okay, actually, they are going to pull the lane swap. So yeah, for Killian, they are going to try and play away from this, which I don't necessarily hate. I think that St. Clair would have been happier with this if it was the Tristana in the bot lane, for example. Because if you try to go for a lane swap against the Tristana, you're going to lose out on this. Funnily enough, we saw the strategy work out and fail in the ACL because we saw how it works and how it fails. But because it's not Tristana this time around, I think that for the side of Ottawa, this is completely fine. Levi gets a free lane as the Saya. This is pretty good for you because you're not going to lose out on anything as the Saya with this. And then the Sejuani is going to be able to ignore the Darius in a matchup that I would believe it's bad for the Sejuani.
Yeah, for sure here is there's going to be red buff falling on down to Prod to start things off. And in the 2 versus 1, as expected, Ricky going to get zoned off of a fair bit of farm here. Darius, not generally the type of champion that you would want to be forced into this sort of situation as, especially up against a Nautilus. So he's going to play respectfully, but respectfully in this context means forfeiting virtually all resources. And you do have Prod making his way up there. So stuff going to get dangerous very fast.
And there's another part about the lane swap that is important to consider. It's that for tank top laners, the lane swap is much better than for any sort of bruiser top laner. Because as a tank, your kit works anyway. Like it doesn't really matter if you're tankier or not. Your kit is going to work out because you have the CC and the base. Oh, Baker Boy.
Oh, Bakery Boy getting chased down. The flash win becomes
Oh
lightning,
no.
flashed away from it, but he's going down either way. Prod finishes that off for first blood, and this is that Xin Zhao Rise duo that we were talking about being able to take over the early game, TDS.
Painful flash there by Baker Boy. And I'm kind of curious if he made the jump in at the start to try and get the reset, didn't get the reset, and then Blunt able to come back into it. Really good really good setup that they are finding. Blunt didn't even need to use the point and click CC, like he just run down the Tristana. And this is perfect for Ottawa because now you're already winning a matchup that could have been really hard for the Rise. And importantly, this is a matchup where you don't want to fight the Tristana. You want to open up the Rise to move around. So now he has an assist. He can push the wave a little bit faster. And when he reaches level 6, you can open up more space for Blunt and move with Prod to just peer everywhere in the map and try and get an advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, there's going to be Rock Boom and Miracle in the 1 versus 2. Miracle just taking some time away from the wave, helping out Maddie on the clear, I believe. So does end up with Rock Boom being pretty ahead in levels, going to be level 4 while Levi's still level 3. And Maddie coming in to scoop Blonde back into the wave. Great stuff on the Ixtal rush there, but here's the turnaround
Maddie,
from
though.
Prod, and Prod has got all the damage in the world. Blonde gets a second kill, and Ottawa start off with a 2-0.
It's painful for St. Clair, and they are looking to try and make damage to Killian, which he can deal some damage to this 20, but it's not going to be as big as what happened in the mid lane. And that started off with Maddie going in. But Rice, and I think this is something that people kind of forget as well, Rice is deceptively tanky. It's not like he's super tanky, but with his rune choice, he usually takes things to try and just have more survivability. Plus, his base stats are not necessarily bad. He also has a ruby crystal, so the time that it takes to kill him is going to be longer. Oh, fun.
Ooh, over the walls, interrupting onto Blonde. Great move by Maddie there. And here's Bakery Boy for the backup. 1 or 2 more shots will do it. Blonde is forced to flash and will keep himself alive. No TP, no flash. Has to recall right now. Great play by St. Clair.
Yeah, that does salvage a little bit of the situation. Even though you gave up the previous skill, now you blow the flash up, and you can go for a repeat gank eventually with the Skarner. With no flash on the Rise, it should be easy to try and collect it. Now we see the push on the bot lanes. It's going to be a plate finally for Rockboom. It's going to equal out the plate in the top side, which is not necessarily a good or bad thing. They're just going to equal out each other. And I feel like the game, even though we do have 2 kills for Ottawa, not in a spot where it's completely awful for either.
No, for sure. Pretty even Steven, all things considered. But Ottawa, with that solid early lead, have to see if they're going to be able to keep that one going. This Rise has been such a dangerous pick for them. Now still continuing to get disrespected by the opposition as Brand gets it for the 3rd game in a row. He's 2-0 on it so far this tournament. Let's see if he can keep that win streak going. Certainly off to a good start to be able to do so. Now the backup with Prod coming on through from Killian. They're going to look to take first Dragon, and looks like it's just going to be a trade for the Grubs.
Yeah, and also they really dislike playing normal lanes because they also send Levi and Plux down there with Killian as well. Maybe they attempt to dive, and I actually like this idea. There shouldn't be an expectation that the Sejuani is coming down here once again. So 5-man dive against Ricky Lafleur to start it off. This should be
All
Ouch.
right, Ricky, put on your music. Here's the chance to try to turn it. He's going to get knocked up. He's going to get taken down. Easy peasy. Good
Perfect.
execution there from Ottawa as they get another kill into prod on this Xin Zhao, and they're just going to wreak havoc on this turret. Let's see what they can equalize for from St. Clair's. They push 2 lanes over on the other side.
Yeah, and Blonde goes back to the mid lane to try and respond really quickly, but beautiful play, really nicely executed. Obviously, once again, it's Ricky playing the Darius, so his survivability is not going to be that big. As Levi gets played in gold, even though he doesn't get the kill, it's good that he's getting the solo experience, plus also getting the plates in his favor. Would have been fun to see if they wanted to re-attempt a dive, but I think that with that first one, you can move into the normal lanes once again and then set up for the team, although maybe they are actually going to commit to this.
The redive onto Ricky. He did hold on to the flash last time. Prod is behind, and now it's going to be a
Oh,
3 on
yep.
3. Prod gets pulled back in, thrown into the turret. The Ishtal's impact once again, making an impact in game number 1. That's shutdown gold into Ricky, and he's fully online now on the Darius.
Yeah, shutdown goal going into Ricky, and important to try and turn around. Really good read by Maddie, taking into account the potential of a redive, and a bit too... Oh, wait, Levi has to flash away as well.
Yeah, Hook not connecting there. Plux is out of position, and Plux is going to get
Oof.
chopped down. And Noxie and Guillotine from Ricky LaFleur will pick himself up a second. The kill credit for that goes over to Maddie, so he's going to be rocking a little bit of additional gold onto the Skarner. St. Clair now with control over this bottom side.
Miracle.
Miracle might be in a bit deep, though. Finds himself face-to-face with Prod, who is going to look to finish this off. Connects the wind, becomes lightning. Blonde coming in
Has
for the
to
collapse,
flash.
forces the flash. Miracle will be able to fall back to the rest of the squad.
And Ottawa getting a bit of their medicine on their side with multiple members collapsing onto the bot lane and trying to go for a kill. Baker Boy going to be completely fine, nothing out of the ordinary. And in the meanwhile, while everything was happening, Rockbone just completely collected free farm in the top lane, free plates in the top lane, and looking at a nice lead in terms of gold, and also just in terms of experience, level 7 to the level 6 of Levi. Really good for the side of St. Clair, and even though we haven't played the normal laning situation for the side of St. Clair, the fact that they have this AD carry so strong, it's perfectly fine. It's also opting into the static. Is this Poke Kai'Sa?
Very well might be. We'll find out how
Well, they do have
exactly
the
Rock
Triss.
Boom wants to pilot it. Just going for the early static shiv for now, so could just be looking for that on-hit power and a little bit of additional wave clear on a champion that's otherwise lacking it. It can be very valuable, especially if you're intending to keep these kind of lane swap situations going, which Ottawa certainly does. Bakery Boy getting collapsed on here. Will fall back to Maddie. It's still going to be a 3 versus 2, so they're going to have to create a little bit of distance.
You're trying to not force a weird fight at this point. You still don't want to make weird decisions in certain places because that could be completely detrimental for you. But finally, for the first time in 10 minutes, we do have normal lane assignments with Ricky and Killian going against each other. And yeah, this is going to be harsh on Killian.
Yeah, really tough here to be in that 1 versus 1. They've been putting in so much effort to try to get themselves out of it. And now it will arrive one way or the other. Rock Boom and Miracle crashing this wave and immediately starting to move. They feel like they've got a lead in that 2 versus 2, and they're right. Bit of an extra farm going to be towards Rock Boom, and already having that first legendary item completed will give them extra combat power, so they're just going to try to flex their muscles on this bottom side.
Also extra pushing power so they can try and set up for a potential dive if they think about it. Oh,
All right, here comes the potential. There's going to be the Ishtal's impact. Maddie does not connect it this time, and I mean, that's kind of the whole deal. If you don't land that stun and you don't get some kind of crazy impale off, the Skarner's not going to be doing too much, so they will be able to fall back and will be able to dodge getting set any further behind by any kind of 3 versus 2 play.
well, they don't connect the stun, but they do blow out the ultimate. That means that you can just make a move to the right, and oh, Maddie coming in again.
All right, an attempted fight here, going to not end up going on through. Maddie will be able to fall back into the jungle, Prod, or rather Blonde, able to keep the proper distance.
Yeah, it's kind of funny seeing the Skarner going over the wall because it looks like, with this skin, it looks like a truck is just going to try and ram you.
Yeah, really does. They'll be able to clean themselves up. The full 6 grubs. So Ottawa,
That's pushing power.
a little bit shut out of that department, yeah, and St. Clair really going to be a big threat to these turrets. They've already got more plates on the top side than Ottawa does on the bottom, and now they're going to very likely be able to take that first unless there could be some kind of defense mounted by Killian.
Yeah, and you have to consider also that you do have split pushing potential with the Tristana and the Darius, right? So 6 scrubs with Tristana pushing turrets can be a pretty good combination of disaster as ooh, teleport in,
No, not going to be able to
not enough
find too
distance.
much, and that Hextech Drake will fall on down. So Ottawa doing their job, taking 2. That was an interrupt on the Arctic Assault. So Killian used his dash ability in the top lane, going to get chunked for a fair bit. They don't want to push for any more right now up against that last turret plate. So could still be an opportunity for Levi and Plux, but they've got a bot lane duo of their own matching them, so not going to get any opportunities to take those last 2 plates either.
Yeah, it's not yet enough to be able to blow up the Sejuani, but the reality of it is that at this point, with the way that the game is going, just naturally by virtue of how they are playing, St. Clair has a natural advantage that it's difficult to go against unless they force a play here to try and kill someone. Miracle.
Depth charge out of Flux. Levi going to be able to start raining down these feathers. Miracle might just be caught out. And in the 2
Ooh.
versus 2, Flux and Levi draw first blood up against Rockboom and Miracle. We were highlighting this matchup between former Lit teammates, and there's going to be Plux setting himself off to an early lead there. Now they're going to flash for
Oh,
more.
God.
Prod's not willing to let Rockboom
Oh, he
out of
gets it.
this. One more auto will do it. He's able to
Oof.
get some more out of there with the supercharger. Now falling back towards that turret. This is Levi and Plux's chance to potentially take first tower, but Ricky just pushing way faster. He's going to be able to claim it for St. Clair. Fight breaking out
Yeah,
now
no.
further. There's a double
The
impale.
double.
He's rooted up though. Maddie can't pull them underneath the turret, but Plux taking too much damage. Either way, will fall
Here's
down as the
Blondo.
rock is thrown afterwards. Blonde now has TP'd into the play. It's probably too late to be able to turn a fight in either direction. Both parties just going to have to disengage from each other. Plux will end up falling down.
Yeah, they know Baker Boy is here as well, so there's no chance to follow up on this. Really good answer play, and we see Maddie connecting that triple impale to try and stop people from running away and setting up for a second kill. Really nice to see. Nobody is staying behind on the plays. They are fighting accordingly, and they're doing a really good job from both sides to try and get advantages for their team. Now, they do get the first turret blood up there in the top lane. This Darius looking scary by the minute, and there's no way. Oh, wait, bot lane play?
All right, breaking out once again. Prod focusing in towards Miracle.
Oh,
Wow,
no.
I mean, that's a little bit of a hopeful ultimate into the bush, but Miracle's going down either way. Good heads-up play there from Killian to see if they can squeeze out a little bit more. Off on the timing, but Ottawa, they get a kill back either way.
Yeah, I will defend Killian. He was thinking somebody was there, and it's a fair assumption. Even if you fail it, Rel was there. So it's not like you're missing anything out by missing that ultimate. That being said, could have been a much better play if they collect that second kill. Ends up being just one, which is not the worst, but also not the best. You did commit teleport as well. So now for a future fight for an objective, be it Dragon or be it Herald, there's not going to be that teleport opportunity for the Sejuani, and we may not have top laners in future fights either. It's going to be Herald here.
Herald will fall down. Going to be more and more of those turret pressure objectives going over towards St. Clair. They've got that first turret gold as well.
Ooh.
Hex flash over the wall from Plux. Looking to get something started, but the fact that it hit that big flank of
Oh, the
Miracle
engage.
might mean that this is a losing play. Levi going to have to throw up that Feather Storm. Dodges out on the Impale as well.
3.
Triple root out of Levi as he sets up for the follow-up fight.
Oh,
Prod
the
leading
re-engage.
the charge as Plux pulls back in. Maddie, he's going to get shut down for the first kill of the fight. Miracle going to join him as Blonde is able to clean that one. Ottawa University take a 2-0 play in mid.
And Ottawa was playing these fights really, really well. Nice decision making there by Levi, and the re-engage by Plux and Prod is beautiful to see. Also, you had Blonde on the side ready to react before anyone was coming through. So the instance that they were playing with was a much quicker way of playing from Ottawa. And this team fights, or this is more skirmishes that we're seeing here, may be something to look forward to when the bigger team fights come through.
Great stuff here. Rockboom advancing for a potential one-on-one with Levi. He does have that hail of blades, so he could be very dangerous in this sort of assassin mode. Levi wisely keeping the distance there, and Ottawa doing a great job of coming out on top in these skirmishes. You got to be conscious, though, of the threat that the split push of Ricky LaFleur is going to pose, especially as we get into this mid-game. He's got 6 grubs to himself, a sizable gold lead. He can just tear through these turrets very, very easily, and there aren't great answers available from Ottawa.
It's not necessarily like there's big answers apart from maybe Blonde being there to try and respond and then come back into a play bot. something to you have to begin taking into account, and just quickly looking at things, because it's been a while since we've seen this sort of build from Kaisa as Rockboom. I think he's playing the. I think it's a static ship with what is it called, the Rage Blade. It's been a while since I've seen that one. So Rockboom trying to go for multiple auto attacks as much as possible,
Oh,
and maybe try and buff up the W up as the Herald. I'm not sure where he's going with that, because there's no turret bot lane.
he's just going to use it as a fast track over to the Dragon, and will be the first one to arrive. It's going over to bot. It will end up falling down to Killian, and all 10 members are going to
There's
be
so
down here
much
for this
vision.
Dragon fight. There's going to be a double hook found by Ricky, though, and that's the fight start that St. Clair we're looking for. Blonde is being focused down.
Blonde-
Rockboom returns the damage. Killer Instinct backwards, but now the 4-man squad of Ottawa are looking to start the fight on the other flank. Levi has got to be the member to keep safe. He's got Ricky right on top of him.
Levi's doing so much.
Away and will be able to take him down, but Rockboom is finished off the top laner on
Oh,
the other
bots.
side. It's a double kill to Levi and a double kill to Rockboom. Now Maddie getting chased backwards, dodge back in from Prod. He'll be falling on down. Ishtal's impact into the wall, and the members of Ottawa are crumbling, but Levi fights back, able to take down Miracle, and now able to move forward in the 1 versus 2. Rockboom still has the potential to one-shot here. He's got to have the Halo Blades back available by now. Maddie going in for the Ishtal's impact, finds him into the wall, and takes the shutdown, but a TP in from Blonde might still turn around the fight. Ottawa University are not done yet.
Yeah, and there is a tip from Baker Boy as well, so they know here is Blonde, and can he run fast enough?
Oh, they're going to have to cut their losses at some point, but they think that they can clean up more members of St.
Do
Clair.
they?
Bakery Boy is now cut off on the wrong side. Blod smells it. He's going to look for a little bit more as he's got more members coming in on the collapse, getting on into that Realm Warp, finds Bakery Boy, and gives the kill over to Killian. Ottawa might end up with this Dragon after all.
Yeah, that's going to be Soul Point after everything is said and done. Even with Maddie coming back to life, he's way too far away. He's not going to be close to this, and this is going to be Soul Point for the side of Ottawa. I think that there was way too much of a commitment in certain places, but Ottawa reigning supreme in that team fight. And I gotta say, it's on virtue of Levi. He played that fight so well, positioning as far away as he could at the start of it, ends up getting collapsed later on, but the way that he initially played that, waiting for his ultimate, waiting with the flag, waiting with the ghost, it was so well positioned, and so far delivering as a long-standing member of Ottawa.
Really great stuff here from Levi. This dude got 4 pentakills in the MEC playoffs. He has been so completely dominant in that league. Such a big part of their success has been through this bottom lane of Levi and Flux, and they're showing up when it matters here. 4-1 for Levi already in this game, 2 items deep, and going toe-to-toe with Rockboom is just fine in these team fights.
Exactly, doing a really good job at, especially considering that technically we were thinking about Rockboom taking another AD carry and the Kaisa going to Levi, and after the pick was stolen pretty much, Levi just says, okay, I'll take the side and play this out really well, and so far so good for the side of Ottawa. Now, there is still the risk of the side lanes being pushed on you, because you do have the Darius and the Tristana with the 6 Grub to try and hyper push those lanes, but as long as they respond accordingly, it should be really fine, as Killian needs to be careful here.
Yeah, he's going to get found. Was being very patient, but the fight getting started on the other
Oh,
side.
Ricky?
Hook in onto Ricky. Prod going to try to melt him down. Depth charge going to force Rockboom to
Ricky's
create
dead.
some space at the top laner's down. Hook onto 2, but it's going to be a fight turned back around. Prod diving forward on towards Rockboom. Flashing
Rockboom
some
is
more.
dead.
Takes him
Or
down.
not?
The wind becomes lightning. A triple kill over to Levi on the other
Ooh.
side. Rockboom able to get the killer instinct over the wall and trade one back onto Prod, but that's a winning fight for Ottawa. They get 3 for 2.
Yeah, Rockboom is the lone survivor of that skirmish, but in the bot lane, it's 3 for Levi, 1 for Rockboom, and the top lane is completely meaningless, as it always has been. So far this game, action-packed, and both teams are not escaping from any sort of fighting. I love how they are trying to look for certain plays, but the response from Ottawa has just been much better at this point in the game. 7-1 for the Saya.
Yeah,
And she's behind in gold.
It's still the gold lead for Rockboom, though. He's done such a good job of funneling himself these side waves, and he's still getting kills and assists in the fights while also keeping himself safe. His uptime has been substantial, and it's tough for Levi to be able to go toe-to-toe with it. It is going to be a matchup of the marksman, though, in game number 1. More and more members getting tossed into irrelevance. And I want to shout out Prod in that last team fight, though, for doing such a good job of stopping Rockboom from being involved. Rockboom had to be 100% focused on his own safety and well-being. It let Levi just tear through the fight and take down the Saints on the other side.
Yeah, doing a really good job at not only starting but being able to be the dissuader in a couple of those situations, and may end up falling down to Rockboom, but he's doing his job just perfectly fine. And a champion that by this point should be his strongest and later on may end up falling down comparatively to the Skarner, but doing a great job so far. And Dragon coming up really soon. That's going to be soul fight potentially for the side of Ottawa, and that's something that St. Clair cannot ignore in the least. But there is also this scenario where now you begin seeing potential trades happening. With 3 dragons up, Ottawa can say, okay, take Dragon, we take Baron. And that's perfectly fine for them because they are farther ahead in that objective control in the map. I'm not sure if that's the best choice though, because I do like more Soul compared to Baron in certain situations. But it's a trade that can eventually happen.
Absolutely is here, and there's
Flux.
going to be Flux finding Maddie. Will they be starting the fight off of it? He has to Spider-Man
Oh,
his way out to safety. TP now being channeled. This is going to be the top laner looking to potentially get a fight started. Killian not going to be able to find his target though, and still a 5-man squad of Ottawa looking
oh,
for their
Bakery Boy.
Dragon Soul. Ulti being channeled by Braun. They think that they can get Bakery Boy. Not quite able to land the Glacial Prison. And there's the Buster shot to create the space. Plux has to come around on the side and connect this hook. He
He
finds
gets
it.
it.
And Blonde will be ready to clean it up. It's now a 5 versus 4 for potential Dragon Soul. But right on time, St. Clair are starting up the Baron. Ottawa's got to rotate up here very
Half
quickly.
health.
It's already at half HP. Quad is leading the way. He's going to throw down the Crescent Guard, blocking out that damage from Rock Boom. The space being created
Levi.
by Killian.
Oh, Ricky's
Levi
dead.
goes on a rampage. He goes into the Featherstorm. Rockboom has dived into the back line, is able to assassinate the opposing AD carry. Prod is trying to fight up against Maddie, but his health bar is ticking down. Maddie turns it back around. Multiple kills back to St. Clair as they're 2 members strong on the map, exactly the same as Ottawa.
Ricky dies so quickly there by Rockboom, able to play that fight so well, actually reading Levi's flash where he was trying to pull the feathers on top of Rockboom, ends up this moving to the side, taking off from the damage, not able to get the full-on combo from, or the full-on execute from Levi, and that wins the fight pretty much for St. Clair. Slight movement, but big impact in that fight, and now the Dragon is up, no Baron was taken, 2 members alive for Ottawa. Are they going to look for this Baron? For this Dragon, I mean. There is no teleport on Blonde, though.
No teleport to be found here yet. Will they be able to take the Dragon? They're going to start things up here with Maddie. Let's see what they're able to do.
Yeah, I think it's lost. They don't have the members close by, and Blonde decided to back away there, which means that this should be a free Dragon. So at the end, it's not a bad victory for St. Clair. They get the Dragon. The Baron doesn't fall to anyone, so it's completely fine that it happens. And even with that initial pick onto Bakery Boy, which I think it was a smart idea, they don't really find any more value.
No, not at all. So going to have themselves a little bit of extra time. Potentially scale into the game. St. Clair finding themselves with an actual gold lead now, despite the threat that Ottawa constantly were posing towards that Dragon Soul. Flux going to spot members coming in. Maybe going to try to start this fight on towards Miracle. The hook back in towards him. He's going to have to crash down away. Maddie's going to have to dig through the wall back to safety. Will be Ottawa successfully clearing out their own jungle. They're looking to start the fight anyway. Glacial Prison comes through out of Maddie. Maddie's just going to get one shot. Now moving on towards Rockboom. He can't get out. He's shut down by Levi. Blonde takes out Miracle, and Ottawa have found 3 for nothing.
And this may be the start of that miracle, although Wade, Blonde, getting pushed to Ricky Lafleur.
Try to fight this one out. Blonde throwing down the Realm Warp. Will jump away
and
dodge the Darius ultimate. Are you kidding me? I didn't even know you could do that. And Blonde totally breaks Ricky's ankles with it, securing an ace for Ottawa.
Not even in pro play can you see this sort of play. I didn't even know that was possible either, and that works out massively for Ottawa. Blonde skipping by the skin of his teeth there, and that was reset, I think, for the Darius as well. That was execute that could have turned around that fight, but Blonde escapes with his life, and now Ottawa have the Baron buff. Great pick off. They find into the Skarner. Skarner melted like it was paper. Like he barely tanked any damage after that engagement. It's surprising to see this sort of thing happening to a tank that has both some fire and so many stacks. As we see there, Blonde 5-1, 10,000 gold, ahead 2,000 gold of Bakery Boy. And Bakery Boy counterpick to Blonde's Rise.
I mean, you've got to start paying some respect towards Blonde's Rise here. It has been absolutely ridiculous throughout this tournament, and the fact that they are able to turn it around here is absolutely nuts.
And the great thing is that we're not on Fear Draft, so you actually have to ban it away, because if not, he can just pick it. again.
Yeah, exactly. No, got to get that fearless brain out
Yep.
of us here, TDS. We are in classic League of Legends mode. Think more MSI, less NACL. As these
Are you
guys
sure we
can
want
just
to think about MSI considering what happened
okay, okay,
today?
all right. Maybe not that hard about MSI. Just more generally, more conceptually. As here's the
Okay.
push coming through from Ottawa. They're going to be able to take down this mid outer with their newly found Baron buff, and they can very easily pressure for more. They see Ricky on the top side, so they're 5 versus 4. Are they willing to start the fight anyway? Miracle lands the stun on a 2. Lux is very
Oh, the
low on
suppression.
HP. There's the sting on towards Prod. He's going to be able to throw down the Crescent Guard, buying out some space, diving forward on a Rock Boom. Rock Boom's at about half
Oh, Booby's
HP,
alive.
but is returning fire tenfold and will be able to take down the kill. Miracle falls on the other side. Big feather pull out of Levi. Takes
Oh wait,
down
Rock Boom.
Bakery Boy, and it's all on Rock Boom now. But Blonde has
The
got the
Sonya's
damage.
timing.
Rock Boom assassinates the opposing carry, but Blonde will be able to stop him. Ricky, though, still strong, still has the stacks. Another attempted dodge,
Gets
but it
full
will
back.
be interrupted by the apprehend, and Ricky LaFleur takes the shutdown.
This time, huge teamfight victory, and the Sonyas coming in huge for Rockboom there. Perfect timing to stop Levi from getting the kill and making the teamfight be much better for the side of St. Clair. It's just not anyone's game at this point. Even with Baron Bob, that was still so well played by St. Clair, and you cannot give any inch to either of these teams because they are really good at finding the advantage that they are looking for. And this is just game one. They are trying everything just at game one.
Really great stuff here, seeing these teams going the distance already this early into our first round. This is going to be a full best of 5 TDS, so if these teams can keep going toe-to-toe like this, we are in for a hell of an afternoon. So far, I've
I'm all
got to
in for
give big
this.
props to Prod. He's been buying so much space in these fights with that Crescent Guard and just keeping Rock Boom down for as long as possible. That last fight, though, it ends up not being enough. Rock Boom is so clutch with these killer instincts and his ability to find the key targets.
Yeah, and this is one of the bigger things that also comes through with this build. It's that you are kind of basing your damage off of your W, off of your Prey Seeker. But the thing is, because of the Crescent Guard, like you're mentioning, when you're pushed away, your damage is not really coming through unless you go closer. But if you go closer, you're not going to be dealing the same amount of damage as a Levi or as a Prodes. They are looking aggressively here, but I don't think they find anything.
Ooh,
Oh,
they're
unless...
throwing down the Realm
Oh,
War. They think
Levi!
they have the cutoff. Levi loses half HP, has to go into the Featherstorm, flashes
Wait,
backwards, gets a
Ricky?
good pull out of 2, but now he's so low HP, and even Miracle will be able to take him down. Bakery Boy
Rockboom
will
is
be the one who
dead.
claims the credit, and now it's all on Blonde to be able to dish out the damage, but they've taken down Ricky, and they've taken down Rock Boom. Miracle is soon to follow as he is caught on the wrong side of dodge. It's going to be 3 versus 2 in mid lane. Ottawa with the numbers advantage, marching towards their Dragon Soul.
Numbers advantage both with the smite though, and even though one team has 280 carries, this team with the one less 80 carries much stronger. It feels like it's going to be the Soul. They are not going to fight for this. They are going to try and take an objective in comparison. So going to go for that turret, potentially pushing for maybe... No, they can't push for base. Tristana is not going to be fast enough to take this down. So it's just going to be the free dragon for Ottawa, and that just means Soul. Completely easy for them. But that was a really good fight by St. Clair right away. Finding Levi as he was rushing towards Rockboom, the issue is that they couldn't kill him fast enough. Because if Levi dies super quickly there without using ultimate, then the fight is pretty much an easy task for the side of St. Clair.
It really could be. Really great trigger pull there from Ottawa, just recognizing Levi's frontlining. He's just stepping up there, ready to get the fight started, pulls the Feather Pull at the right time, gets the Feather Storm off to be able to dodge out on the additional damage. And that, in the extended play, secures them the Dragon Soul, really. I mean, plenty of contributions from the rest of the squad, but the aggression, when you are this crucial to the team composition, you love to see it.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice decision-making play by Levi. That's the best way. Or actually, attitude by Levi, although he gets hit here.
Rock Boom, he thinks he's got the isolated target, forces out the Feather Storm, and that's a W if you can ever see one. Just trading ultimate for ultimate when you're these two carries, I think Rock Boom's happy with that.
Yeah, but Rockboom's ultimate can come back a little bit quicker. Levi has no flash, no ultimate now, has no ghost either, so he has to be extra careful about where he positions. So Ottawa has to consider if they even want to think about any fight here. And they are thinking about it.
Oh, they sure are.
Oh,
Blonde is
Blonde has
isolated on the
flash.
other side after that Hex Flash from Flux. Blonde
Blonde
is
may be dead
completely
here.
forced out of the fight, and they're diving 3 members onto him. They'll be able to pick up that shutdown. Levi fighting on the other side, though,
Ricky.
focusing on towards Ricky. It's going to be a top laner for a mid laner, but the fight still goes forward.
Oh,
Bakery
Bakery
Boy jumping forward,
gets the
taking
kill.
down the opposing carry, and now there's no damage left for Ottawa. How can they fight their way out of this? They're going to need Prod to
Are
have
you
some
sure,
kind
though?
of crazy pop-off fight, and he's strong with the Sterix, but still getting focused down. Rockboom has created the space. He's got the top laner on top of him, though, focusing in with the Sejuani. One more swing of the mace
Rockboom is
will
dead.
be able to take him out, but Prod has fallen down, and it's just Sejuani up against the world. Killian does not have the damage to take this fight, but they don't have the damage to be able to stop him either, so it's going to be a bit of a stalemate in the 1 versus 2.
Ocean Soul too strong there, able to give him enough sustain that it doesn't really matter, and Killian has teleport anyway, so even though Baron is up and there's a chance that they are looking for it on the side of St. Clair, he can still collapse on that. Nobody ends up giving up anything in the map. They just give up their lives, but it's going to come back into another potential fight for that Baron buff, and this time around, Levi will have Ghost, will have Ultimate. That is a huge difference maker for what it's to come in the fights.
Yeah, absolutely is here. We've got ourselves just a real slobber knocker of a game, number 1 here. 32-15, very close.
It's very close, and it's really enjoyable, actually. What a great way to start up this series with such a close game 1, with nobody giving up anything to the other team. And we're also reaching the point where items become more meaningless the longer it goes, because everyone is reaching 6. Oh, miracle.
Space he needs. For pushing back the into the curve. A trade of blows, flash over, Maddie gets the sting on towards 2, and Bakery Boy, he's here on the flank, getting even deeper behind enemy lines. Miracle is getting focused down, but Levi has got Ricky LaFleur all over him. Blonde able to take down Miracle, a big feather pull from Levi, but it won't be enough.
Oh no!
Blonde has got to find this damage with the Ocean Soul, but he just can't do it, and Rockboom has kept himself safe yet again. They're going to be able to connect another one of those Void Seekers, and it's got to be Blonde trying to create the space again. He won't be able to survive a couple of auto attacks from Rockboom. St. Clair win out the fight into the Soul for the upteenth time. They have the numbers advantage. They march towards the Baron.
And the Blonde still does have teleport, but I don't think that Prod is close enough or even close to be able to contest this Baron. It's going to be Baron buff for St. Clair, and what a huge fight by Ricky, finding Levi on the backside. Also, Bakery Boy jumping over the wall after Blonde through the prison from the Rise. But actually, funnily enough, when he jumps there, he's able to find the target onto Levi, as that was the Genji Baron buff, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, that was the Genji Baron buff coming on through here for Ottawa. They do have themselves a big win, or at least St. Clair does, off the back of securing that objective. They move on over and will be looking to see what they can set up for coming into this Elder Spawn in about a minute. Levi just trying to make sure that they have the mid priority for once that objective takes off. Remember that Ocean Soul, it's not going anywhere, but the Baron buff going to be a big help to St. Clair, and Plux might be caught.
I swear I watched his angles and it's so scary. Oh, Killian may be caught though.
Caught on out. Killian going to try to jump out
No
to
flash.
safety. There's going to be the blast cone before too long. Killian has got to find a way out of here, but the Ocean Soul will not be enough this time. Ricky LaFleur claims the kill, and it's a 5 versus 4 on the map. St. Clair have the numbers coming into Elder Spawn.
50 seconds for Killian. He does have teleport, but they have to buy, at the very least, 10 seconds for Killian to be able to spawn and teleport in. This is a huge task, and Plug is actually looking for an angle. I don't think you fight this. Oh, Blonde.
Rockboom going forward on towards Blonde after landing the Void Seeker.
He's too
trying
fast.
to move forward, but the Rise is too fast, and he's going to start sustaining back up. He does get his shield pop. The return damage from Prod has been substantial so far. A big sting on towards Flux will pull him out of position, but he'll be able to keep standing. He's taking up on the Nautilus. They take that turret defending the inhibitor, but that might be all that St. Clair can find, as there is a respawned Killian coming here before too long. But it's Elder Dragon time. They think they may have softened up the targets enough that they can take it.
this is fine if they can buy in one more second. Killian has 5 to come back, and Blonde has teleport. They are not going to arrive there. It's Elder for them. Yeah, the timing was not quick enough, and now they have to run away with their tail between their legs.
Oh, Pluck's nearly getting stunned out of the hook
Woo.
there. We'll be able to buy the space. Void Seeker connects, though. Look at that damage on towards Prod.
So
Ottawa
scary.
have to be entirely focused on creating the distance here. Another Void
Levi
Seeker
gets hit.
connects onto Levi. There's the
Levi.
killer instinct. Rock Boom wants to be able to finish off the game. He wants to take down the opposing carry, but Levi is fighting backwards, creating the distance. A huge magnet storm out of Miracle will hold them in place and will set up for a St. Clair team fight victory. Plucks takes down Bakery Boy on the other side with the help of Blonde, but it's a 2-for-1 in the fight so far, and Ricky's coming in on the flank. He's not going to slow down. He wants to be able to put Ottawa in the dirt right here, right now. Ishtal's impact takes Plucks into the wall. Rock Boom is dominating, and it's just 2 members left for Ottawa trying to hold on to game number 1.
Do they have enough? They have 1 minion plus the grubs. I think Blonde has to try and do his best here, but I don't know. I'm not sure if it's enough. Teleport back. I don't think it's enough. I think Killian is going to get cancelled. Yeah, this game.
No, and now it's just Prod all alone, or Blonde all alone, rather. He doesn't even fall before the Nexus does, so he'll be able to stay alive. St. Clair come back, go down, come back again, and are able to take game number 1.
And you have to feel for Ottawa there. They had it in their hands. They were playing so well. But the longer the game goes on, the more meaningful it is to die, and the more meaningful it is to get these objectives. Soul is good, but when Elder is up, Soul is pretty much meaningless because Elder exists. And I think a lot of those fights just end up happening where the protection for Levi was much more scarce compared to their attempt at killing Rockboom. And I feel like that was the biggest difference maker because once again, one team had 280 carries, the other had 1. So when you have 1 to 2, there's going to be a much stronger team the longer the game goes as well.
Yeah, I mean, Prod was doing his best on the Xin Zhao to be able to create that space. Blonde
Yeah.
was doing his best on the Rise to try to return the damage, but it just did not stand up to what Bakery Boy and Rock Boom were able to put together as a 1-2 punch. Rock Boom playing Assassin on the Kaisa, finding the key targets. Bakery Boy with all of the range, able to keep the DPS going down and find some of those big flanks as well. It's just too difficult to answer for Ottawa, and despite a great fight back, they do drop game number 1 to the favorite Saints. We'll have to see if they're going to